broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes are come true.
So great. Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's Parenthood After Show. We are here doing Season 6, Episode 11. Let's go home. We are almost there.
Almost. 2 episodes left.
Oh my goodness. So much. Great episode.
Yes.
Great episode. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. Joining me, I have...
Hey guys, I'm Kellie Knezovich.
Hey y'all, I'm April Whisenhant. I love that we almost always go at the same time every week.
Sorry.
What can you do?
Well, we're all just reeling from
I know.
what we just watched.
I feel like the preview oftentimes is not worse, but it's just so much more emotional and touching because they have to fit everything in within
30
10 seconds.
seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. That's the preview is what got me.
Mm-hmm.
The whole episode got me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really quickly, what were your overall thoughts, Kellie?
I thought a lot of positive things happened this episode. And it's really good to see that, some of our predictions are coming true.
Yes,
I think
they are.
pretty much all of our predictions are coming true. So I like that. But yeah, I thought overall, happy episode.
It was definitely, I feel like, an episode that they need to, build the last 2 episodes with.
Mm-hmm.
It was an episode that I feel like they're like, okay, let's finalize kind of the not as important details right now, but still very, very, very important details, of course. But it was just it was like a heartwarming episode because good stuff happened. And then, the pictures that you see, them going through the Max novella.
Awesome. Oh my goodness.
So I had
get there.
the only sadness I had tonight was thinking about what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So
We all know.
yeah.
I feel like tonight's episode had a lot of tying up loose ends.
Yes.
Or tying up all these questions that they've
we
been
had.
posing for these past few episodes, like the big storylines that have been going on.
Mm-hmm.
We finally felt like we were getting conclusions to just about every single one of them.
Right.
And now moving forward, in the next 2 episodes, it's just about really moving forward with everyone's lives.
And then I think we see in next episode, I think they're going to be focusing primarily on the baby.
Yes.
Yes.
So
A lot of big things are still have yet to come.
Yes.
But we'll just start with tonight's episode, starting with the luncheonette.
Yes.
That is not leaving,
No.
apparently.
I'm so happy.
Yes, I'm happy too. Did we think that Adam was going to change his mind? Were you surprised?
I thought the second that I'm only thinking of Jasmine. I was about to say Joy, which is her real name. The second that Jasmine came and talked to him and said how upset he was, that Adam is such a caregiver. He takes care of everyone. And whenever he was talking to Christina and said the part about, whenever I got fired from TNS, Crosby and the luncheonette saved me. I feel like I should be there for my brother. He is a caregiver, but he also is just, not that he owes it to him, and he definitely shouldn't feel that he owes it to Crosby, but, he kind of realizes sometimes people need saving and need help in odd times in their life, and of course he's going to be there for his brother.
I thought this episode there was a lot of we saw all the 3 siblings, Sarah, Adam, and Crosby, thinking emotionally. Mm-hmm. And we saw Julia, who's used to thinking logically, we saw her start thinking emotionally too. So I think everyone really, and then we saw the last scene of the episode with Zeke and Camille. So everything was all emotional, and they were all thinking with their heart. And I think that's totally Adam too, to completely do it for family. And yes, he said, I got to back out from the luncheonette because of my family. I got to figure out what's best for my family. But Crosby is his family too. And he is his brother, and he will, I think, forever take care of him.
Yeah, and I liked how Crosby, it took him time to figure that out because, you know, Crosby's, he's, like you said, he's very logical and he likes to think everything out. The whole Bravermans are all about, like, lists, pros and cons, you know, we heard that a lot tonight. But Crosby's the more logical and, like, he's going to crunch the numbers first.
Adam.
Adam, goodness. Adam, yeah, sorry. Adam, he's going to crunch the numbers and figure all that out. But I loved the conversation between Adam and Jasmine and how Jasmine just says, don't promise me anything, just promise me you're going to reconsider.
Yeah.
And even just reconsidering and taking the time to thoroughly think things through, even though, like, maybe right away it all seems well and good, you're going to have money, you can clean break, but maybe, yes, logically that might make sense, but in your heart, does it?
Exactly.
You know, one thing I didn't really like, but I think it's in Crosby's character to act the way that he did. When Adam said, you know what, I think we should fold, I think we're kind of done here. Crosby was like, okay, I get it, I understand. And he was more heartbroken by the fact that the luncheonette is over and done with, that I think he should have, you know, asked more questions to Adam, like, okay, yeah, but what about in this situation? What if we come up from this or something? And as soon as Adam said, no, I'm done, Crosby, like, just shut down. And I wish that Crosby had listened or tried to ask more questions or actually tried to understand. But I think it's also in Crosby's nature to just be like, okay, well, that's what you think, and that's how it is.
I think Adam was just so, like, definitive about his answer that it's kind of like, you know, how can you tell me no, really, if I'm like, this is what is right for me, this is what is right for my family. Like, I was kind of expecting a little bit of but come on, like, we started this, but at the same time, he knew that Adam had been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And Adam was strong in his decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a mature move of him not to just be like, come on, man, like, we did this
That's true.
together.
But also, to go off of that, do you think it was, I mean, we have seen Crosby growing up all these years and really become that adult. And they kept saying, Crosby's an adult. He can handle it like a big adult would.
Right.
Do you think the way that he reacted in going home and just kind of, in a way, sulking a little bit? Or was he just, just very emotionally ruined? The fact that his dream might be over.
Yeah,
Is that an adult
think
move?
that was expected of his character. I wouldn't have expected Crosby to really take the high road, I guess. But also I think Crosby is a baby, and everyone always babies Crosby, and he hasn't really had to, I don't want to say be a man, because he has made some strong decisions, but he's always been taken care of.
I think an appropriate amount of sulking was absolutely, like, is okay. You know, it's his dream, this huge business that they built. He's not just, I feel like no person is just going to be like, well, all right, let me figure it out. You know, like, of course he should have room to be upset. I don't necessarily think it was like he's, like in the corner, like crying like a baby.
Like he's being dramatic.
I think an appropriate amount of sulking was absolutely, I expected it. And seeing his little eyes tear up, y'all, it just tears me apart because he just looks so sad whenever he cries. But I was also really happy to see Jasmine kind of standing up for what she really felt her family needed and was right for them, because that's kind of hard to do, especially with another family member. And I feel like it was almost kind of a Christina move, because we've seen Christina go out of her way and do really uncomfortable things for her family, and especially for Max too. So to see Jasmine do that, knowing that, like, okay, he does not want to do this. This is going to be uncomfortable, but, like, let me stand up for my husband and for my family. It was a good moment for her, I think.
Now, we did see Christina for that one brief moment, asking Adam, why are you doing this? I thought you already made a decision. What do you think Christina's reaction is going to be now, knowing that he changed his mind and they are still going to go and have the luncheonette?
I think she's going to stand by her man.
Yeah.
I think she'll be shocked a little bit, like, well, okay, but I think she'll
be on board.
Yeah, she'll be on board for sure.
And they have the school, the Chambers Academy, that can, for financial stability as well, if the luncheonette, for whatever reason, failed.
Yeah. I think a thing that we should also point out too, though, because yes, Adam is doing this kind of because of Crosby, but also this did start as Crosby's dream, but it became something that Adam really loved doing. You know, he was into the music, but he's also, of course, you know, mainly into the business aspect of it. But it's something that it's the job that he's most enjoyed doing his entire life. And so it is obviously it's a risk, and Adam is more about the, you know, the ABC is this you know, amount going to match this amount, but at the same time, it's a job that he really loved too. So
and he's with family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's always what's going to be most important.
And Jasmine did make a good point too about, you know, you're just going to give up. You're not going to try. You're just going to try once and then kind of fail and then just give up.
Right.
Just give up.
So
I think there were a lot of good points, you know, explained throughout the whole thing that really made Adam come to his senses.
Yes.
And the fact that now they get a whole new equipment thanks to insurance money, it's literally a brand new start.
And the way that he told Crosby to when Crosby was taking the picture off, he's like, no, we're going to keep that up there. And I love that. I thought that was great.
I do too. Let's just say we were all wrong about our predictions. We're like, oh.
No.
Well, you know, you can't be right all the time, I guess.
Yeah, and I love how the picture of them two, you know, the first day together, and they're still going to be working together. That was sweet. That was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And, you know, nail on the head.
Yeah.
All right, and let's talk about Sarah and Hank.
Yay.
We finally get an answer. I mean, because we saw last episode, Hank proposed, not at the right time or moment or place, but the answer's still there. And I love how Hank is still very adamant about this.
Me too.
And how he's talking to Sarah, still with direct eye contact. I meant every word I said, and I want to be with you. And he was reciting the vows. And like, yes,
so great.
what a man.
Uh-huh.
What do we think of this?
I'm just surprised that it took Sarah so long. I mean, she went to Julia first, and then she went to her mom to try to figure out what she wanted to do with the rest of her life. Like, I mean, I get that it's a big decision spending the rest of your life with someone, but I would also think that would be something that you would think about, you would consider. However, maybe she didn't know that Hank was going to pop the question because they clearly hadn't talked about it when he did ask a couple episodes ago. But yeah, I'm glad she said yes, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of think the same thing. I'm not as surprised that she took a little bit to answer because she made a good point. There is kind of a certain part of your life, and not to say that just because she's in her 40s or however old she is, that the same thing can't happen then either. But when you are younger and have a few less, you know, responsibilities on your back, it is easier to kind of like, oh, I just know I'm in love with this person, so let's just go for it. But, you know, she makes really good and valid points. She's like, I'm not, you know, 20 anymore or whatever she said. And, you know, this is the rest of your life. And she's been through so much with the kid's dad and everything.
Seth, yeah.
And it's not just, like, he has a child and an ex-wife too. It's not a simple, like, cut and dry thing. And obviously they have the other issues. So I'm not surprised that she hesitated a little bit, or not hesitated, but thought about it. But
At least she took her time this time.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that she said yes. And Hank is so happy, and I love seeing him happy because he smiled like 3 times ever.
Oh, I know. I loved it. There were so many different moments in tonight's episode because we also saw when Camille asked, do you love him and does he make you happy?
Yeah.
We've seen the past episodes. Sarah has said, yes, I'm happy, and yes, I am in love with you. So there are those 2 questions already answered. And then when we go to, you know, Julia, Julia, and she's asking all those questions. Yes, the pros list was all there, and they said nothing on the cons, which was very interesting.
Favorite pro, he's taller than me.
Oh, yes.
Oh, always a plus.
She's like, that's not a deal breaker, but I'm like, oh, are you kidding
Always
me?
a plus.
it makes
And
sense.
then also there's another added element that we have Amber also there receiving a nice trip from Seth. But who was the one that put it together?
Hank.
It was Hank.
Yeah.
And I love that it was that moment that she chose to tell him yes, because, you know, her kids are so important. They're her life. And, you know, she sees him doing something that he, of course, did not have to do, but he's going out of his way to help her daughter.
Just
and I
like
think
how he did with the hospital.
Right.
And he just showed up. I mean, he didn't have to be there, but he wanted to be there. He's
And-
putting forth so much effort.
Yes, and it's also that Hank is one who's actually going to be there, because we saw that little moment between Sarah and Amber was just ranting about her father. It's like, he's, you know, Seth would do this and this and this, but he's not there. And of course he's going to make problems. But yet Hank is the one who's actually there, being the father.
doing the heavy lifting.
Putting a crib together. And he's the one actually being more of a father than Seth ever was.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. But
Yeah, it's
also
sad,
that's
also-
life.
Yeah,
at the
but
same
also
time.
really good for Sarah and Hank, because Sarah realizes that Hank is the one that is going to be there, be the father, be the husband, be the man that she should have always had.
Yeah.
Very true.
Another thing I really liked about both Sarah and Hank is we kind of learned a little backstory or a little history about them. We heard with Hank talking to Max when they were developing the film. He told his little story about the first time his picture was published.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, we kind of saw
Back in the 80s, how
Yeah.
he got his start.
Yeah, that was cool. And then the story about the fight with Sarah, and the following day she moved out, and then eventually she came home. I mean, Sarah got super emotional there, but I really enjoyed hearing those stories.
We all got super emotional
Yeah.
there. Let's be real. That was so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. But I liked when Max said, too, though, he's like, I actually like silence more than when Aunt Sarah talks. Or
Sarah.
however he said it was so funny.
There were a lot of great moments, and yes, hearing their backstories a little bit, realized both of them did have hard times in the past, but they're here now, and look how long they've come, and like where they came from, and that they're together now, and just
Yeah.
like doing everything. And small little thing, did you notice the hat that Sarah was wearing in the park when she was doing those exercises?
No, I didn't know what was that.
Her hat said Barnard, which Lauren Graham actually went to Barnard.
Oh,
So that's probably just a little throw in for,
that's
just
cool.
Tidbit. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
just
wow,
random
thanks
little
for
tidbit
sharing.
for
Yeah.
you.
I wonder, and I hope we don't find out,
Oh gosh.
but I wonder what Lil Ruby's going to think of all this, because we haven't seen her.
She needs to be done. We don't. I mean, there's 2 episodes
I think
left.
she is done.
I think
Yeah,
she's done
we don't
too.
need to
Really,
touch on that.
no reason to bring Ruby into the story.
All right, I'll never
anymore.
mention Ruby
Yeah.
again.
How dare
Ruby
you?
is done. Ruby's done.
Bye, Ruby.
Yes. Okay. All right. But before we move on to our next topic, I just want to thank everyone for subscribing, rating, commenting
Yeah.
on iTunes, YouTube. You are all amazing. Keep following us. We still love this show. And even when it does end, we're still going to be talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, just keep subscribing, keep commenting. We love it. We love all you guys.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, let's Team Julia.
April, take it away.
Amazing,
gosh.
amazing. April, you're so excited about this. I
I'm
know
so,
that.
as y'all are too.
I know.
Thank you very much.
We're ecstatic.
I looked at Erika Christensen's Twitter while we were watching the episode, and she said at one point, she's like, at Sam Yeager, best Julia moment ever. But I'm like,
sure.
which one was it? Because there were so many good ones. I think it was the one toward the end, but just the part at the beginning, whenever I'm like, oh, she's calling him because she wants him to come over. And then just the moment where they're talking on the phone and he wants to hear her voice. It's so
that was so
perfect. And I'm
sweet.
so happy that they're together.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. The very first scene that they had together really set the tone for the relationship for the rest of the season, the episode in
The
general.
last 2.
Yes, because they get together and they get it on. Of course, we have to kind of
Yeah.
solidify it, and then just them and asking all those questions. Where do we stand? How does this affect the kids? They're going to be confused. Which that was a great scene when Cindy came into the
Oh my
bedroom and
gosh.
just hiding, just
Although-
like teenagers hiding from their parents or something.
Right?
I'm sorry. If I was texting my father from my mom's phone and the ding-a-ling went off, I would surely investigate that. I wouldn't just be like,
Absolutely.
oh, okay. I would be like, I'm sorry, that came from under the bed. What?
What-
And
what's
Sydney's
going on?
smarter than that, too.
She's so much smarter.
Yeah.
She's like, you didn't get a text.
Yeah.
She knows.
There's a
But
lot of typos.
I'm glad that like they did add that naivety to her
Yeah.
because we know that she's too smart and she's too smart for her own good.
Right.
That she would usually figure that out. But I love how they played it out. So the kids got their reaction at the end.
That was awesome.
At the ice rink, how sweet was that?
That was so sweet. And whenever she called him, I'm like, he's gonna show up. Something's gonna happen. But just to see him like reach his hand out and she looks at him puzzlingly, and then she's like, "Oh, okay." And then it's just, and then Sydney, and Victor, they're so happy.
Yeah.
And,
That moment with the hand reminded me of in Aladdin. And he's like, "Do you trust me?" And then she's like, "Okay."
Yes.
And it's
says
like,
the ex-Disney princess over here.
What? Sorry, I'm just
And they
obsessed.
went on a magic carpet ride.
Yeah, exactly. Well, ice skating, magic carpet, same thing.
Same thing.
But yeah, I mean, I think they're golden for the rest of the season. Last 2 episodes, I think their story is pretty much, I don't want to say done, but I think we know where it's going.
I don't think
Yeah.
the story is done.
No.
By far.
Whoa. Okay, I can't wait to hear your prediction.
Then
Yeah, I'm
we'll get
excited.
into predictions. But I'm glad that Team Julia, they are back together. From what it seems like, it's pretty obvious. And then they even mentioned the name like Chris Jeffries. Well, how are we going to end things with him? Because Julia said that I'm done with him, but we still have to work together. So did we get the official closure on him?
I didn't know that they had officially broken up. I mean, I kind of assumed it at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll see him again for sure. I'm glad that kind of came up though, because it is a thing. Like, she will be working with him every day, but it's not like she sees him all the time. I feel like whenever they saw each other at work, it was because he was just coming to visit her in her office. So I think it'll be, Joel's a strong guy and confident, and even though they've been through a lot, I think it'll be, he'll deal with it for sure.
I think in bringing up Chris, she was looking for Joel to say the right thing, and I think he said it, and I think what she was looking for was for him to give confirmation that he won't leave her again. That, okay, Chris is in the picture, but I'm still kind of nervous that, you might walk out on me and our family again. And he's like, you know what, I'm here to stay. I'm gonna fight for you. I'm
never gonna leave you again.
I loved that line when he was like, "Honey, I don't care how many times I have to tell you this, or I'll tell you this forever. I will never leave you again." And I'm just like,
And that's what
literally
she
my
wanted.
heart's like, oh gosh, exploding
So good.
everywhere.
And
so good.
And I loved how they both came to their senses in the sense that Julia she said 2 years ago that's when her character just started to unravel. She's like, what if that happens again? Will you leave me again? And just the reassurance that, no, we've been through hard times, but I'm a stronger man. I'm never going to leave you again.
See, Joel will not give up. Just like Adam and Crosby, that whole thing, he's not going to give up.
No. And I think, though, I'm glad that she recognized, because it's been so just this season, really, it's all been like Joel's fault because he left and da da da. I'm glad that she recognized, like, I was difficult to live with. I know that I was going through some stuff and I messed up. I'm glad that it was, kind of brought to fruition, like, okay, this wasn't all his fault.
Yeah.
He left and he did leave the family, but it's never just completely 100% someone's fault. So I think that I'm glad they were able to work it out without really having to deal with it, if that makes sense, because it's just something that happened, and it's just something that, like, people's personalities change during stressful times and that sort of thing. So I'm glad that they can both recognize, like, this is very out of character for one another. We know who we are and who we are together.
Yeah.
And that is perfection.
I also think, though, that this whole script is kind of telling. I mean, obviously we know what's going to happen in the last 2 episodes, but the fact that she was like, what happens if something happens with my dad? I don't know what's going to happen. I might get super stressed out and be overwhelmed. And obviously Joel's going to be there for her, but I think that was also very foreshadowing. Foretelling.
There was a lot of foreshadowing.
Yes.
There always is.
But they're back together, making out on the ice rink.
Oh,
awesome. Official again. And I love just like where they're picking up their relationship, that like they were broken but they're happy again. Just hearing each other's voice, seeing each other's faces, they're happy again. They're generally happy.
It's like fun and hot.
It
I mean,
is.
that first scene was hot. Let's be real.
Yeah, and even when Joel picked up his phone and read who Julia was calling him, like, he was smiling. It's like they're genuinely
They
happy.
have great chemistry.
Amazing.
My cheeks are hurting from smiling so much right now.
So good. I'm glad. And then the kids are there and they see it.
Yeah.
They're happy. They're not going to be against their father coming back home.
No.
Yeah, of course not.
Yes. All right. Let's get to Zeke. Zeke is now back home.
Yeah.
Discharged, but he's looking good.
He's looking good.
Yeah.
To the
For
point
sure.
where it's concerning.
Yeah.
That he's like, okay, right now he looks completely fine and healthy. But, I mean, we saw a few moments where he was a bit winded here and there, just recovering. But I'm like, is this the beginning of the surge?
I was literally going to say that exactly. And I'm like, is this the surge?
This is the beginning.
Yeah.
But see, there was that moment too when he and Drew were in the
Storage
room.
unit, something.
Yeah.
Where they were looking for that baseball, and he
Reggie
just
Jackson.
he was in the middle of talking, and then all of a sudden he just stopped, and Drew's like, "Grandpa, are you okay?" I mean, that would scare me too. I was like, "Oh, something's wrong. He's having a heart attack." But I mean, it's just kind of like he can be so good and be totally fine, and then all of a sudden, poof.
Well, that's exactly what the doctor told him. Though,
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
Either you have this operation or, you live and... I mean, maybe he could be fine, but it's also like you could also have a stroke at any time and have another heart attack at any time and
you
a
don't know
blood
what's
clot.
gonna
Blah, 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 blah.
Hit you at any time.
Yeah.
But I did love that scene at the storage unit where Drew actually got to genuinely apologize for, ruining his trip to France. And I felt this was kind of one of the last bonding moments that Drew will have individually with Zeke, which was really bittersweet in a way.
Yeah, it was. I feel like that was, even Zeke says, he's like, I feel like you're all up in knots over this. And Drew has obviously been stressing over this so much. So I think it meant a lot for him to be able to apologize for it. Even though I'm sure Zeke hasn't thought about it for a second since it happened.
Yeah. He has bigger things to worry about.
Exactly.
But it was good for Drew to know that Zeke has forgiven him and forgot about it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I think Drew's going to be in a better place with him now, too. And not end on a down note. He's going to be he's going to be happy. He's going to be lovable and sad. But he's not going to, be filled with regret, which is good.
Yeah, and then at the storage unit, he had an epiphany, realizing where he put the baseball. And he realized it's still at the original house.
I was so excited whenever he said that. Because I'm like, well, there was a second where I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they tore it down and built something else? But then I'm like, no, they could never.
No. And so that brings us back to the house. Camille and Zeke actually go back, and a whole new family is in there. The place is completely painted a different color.
It looks good, though.
But a whole new family is there. And it really just made Zeke realize, you know what? We had our time. We had our family here. Now it's their time, this new family, to start their memories here.
I feel like this whole episode, I mean, we went through those pictures. Camille and Sarah went through those pictures.
How great was that?
Yeah.
All 4 shots that are actually in the intro.
In the intro, exactly.
So good.
But I felt like in this scene particularly, we see Zeke and Camille. They reminisce about their family because it was 2 boys playing in the front yard, and then the mom was also pregnant. So I feel like it's, Camille reflecting on when she had her 2 kids and then she was pregnant with the other one. And it was just, they were reminiscing about the good times in the house. They were smiling from ear to ear.
I loved watching them
It was
in that moment.
so beautiful.
Just laughing. And at the same time, I guess that was the only time really in the episode where I was kind of sad at the same time too, though, because I'm like, it's tough for me to see as much as happy as I am about everyone, moving forward in their lives and doing happy things and getting back together and getting married and having babies. It's just tough for me to see everyone continuing whenever I'm like, I feel like I know that Zeke and Camille are about to be devastated by something. And obviously we don't know that. I'm just predicting that, of course. But so it's always tough to be like, oh, well, the world does ultimately still keep on going even after you're gone,
Yeah.
Not to be a little morbid right now. Bringing it down.
I was kind of upset at the fact that they changed it a whole different color, because I personally have been to the actual facade where they shot it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it looks so different.
Was it a different color when you
No,
went?
because it was still the original
Burgundy
crimson,
red.
crimson burgundy color, and then to see it completely different on the show, it's hard because they really are moving on. And then we had the last long shot of just the house. I think that's the last time we're going to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
pretty
too.
sure.
But hey, at least it was in, the final 3 episodes of Parenthood. We got to see the original
Yeah.
house. Yes, it looks a little different, but still, I mean, great way to wrap it up and
Yeah.
come full circle.
Yeah, and to like go back to the house and have that closure.
Yeah.
And realize that it's still going to be a place for happiness.
Yeah. And I'm of course really glad that he decided to leave it there. Just thinking about the moments that those kids would have, because, even I could think about whenever I was little and you find like a bed of special rocks and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So imagine them one day finding that Reggie Jackson baseball. And, even though he was going to give it as a gift to Amber's baby, and that's meaningful as well, but I feel like there are a million other things that he can give to the baby. And it just shows what a truly amazing guy he is. The fact that he wants someone else who he has no ties to, does not know whatsoever, to have that special moment in their life.
Yeah, and it paralleled with the story because Zeke was reminiscing, when Adam and Crosby were young and they were fighting, and there was the baseball. And then to see these 2 boys that he has no relations, that are brothers and a new family, is like, that could be Adam and Crosby. And he really related to that.
Yeah.
And so, moving on. And then they realized, you know what, this isn't our home anymore. Let's go home.
Oh, gosh.
Hence the title, last line of the episode. That was hard to hear, though.
That was.
That is your home.
I'm glad
Not
that Zeke
anymore.
said it, because it was so
Powerful.
at first, it was just Camille's home at first, or she's the one who wanted to move and whatever. But to hear him say it, all right, this was our life, but let's go home.
Let's go home.
The man can deliver a line.
Such a simple
words,
line, too.
Yes, exactly.
A very
go
simple
home.
line that just really hits you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else about this episode? It, for the most part, it was very happy.
Yes.
It was a happier episode
was
compared to
good.
what last episode was.
But
Emotional
yet,
wreck.
still tears, though. I mean, it's
yeah.
still-
But I think they were good tears in a way.
Good tears and bad tears. I can't decide what my emotions are for this episode.
it's
I'm
just
so
always
happy.
a roller coaster.
Yeah. Victor is huge.
Victor is tall.
Victor-
Yeah.
Huge.
Scholemeier Jr. Really grew.
The kid needs to play
growth
some
spurt.
basketball. Obviously, he's an amazing actor, but I'm like, hey, can we recruit him for something?
Yeah, no. I feel like all these kids, even just seeing Sydney for a kid, I was like, she looks older too.
And we saw Nora.
Nora
That
speaking.
was so cute.
Adam being the perfect dad,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Talking
For the
his
norm.
little British accent. Yeah.
Max still being Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel we have to bring Hattie back.
Yeah. When are we going to see Hattie?
Probably for the finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see Hattie back.
But then again, Ruby she doesn't have to
Yeah.
show up. I mean,
Maybe Hattie will
Where
be with
Ruby
Michael B.
leaves,
Jordan.
Hattie comes back.
Hey, you never know.
oh my gosh.
Okay, let's get to news.
Yeah.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So there was a great BuzzFeed article. The writer of tonight's episode, Let's Go Home, Sarah Watson, she wrote an experience, just her experience of writing for Parenthood and whatnot, and she was pretty much just reflecting, because back in October 2014, she wrote this episode and turned it in, and she realized this was the last time she was ever going to write for Parenthood.
Oh, wow.
And she got really emotional over it.
The BuzzFeed
And-
article was emotional reading
was,
it.
just reading it. It's available on BuzzFeed.com. Look up Sarah Watson, Parenthood. And she was just talking about, because she grew with Parenthood, Parenthood characters grew with each other as family, because she herself went through, relationship like Crosby did, and buying a house like Crosby did, and having a kid like Adam and Julia and Adam.
Christina.
Adam and Christina, all these names. But she experienced something that the Braverman kids have experienced in these last 6 years, and one night she was watching the pilot of Parenthood, and there's the moment when Zeke welcomes Sarah back home, and he says, "Welcome home," and then she realized that was one of the turning points in the episode that she was writing. That the last line is "Let's go home." So it was just emotional, because she was also, it just hit her that she was never gonna write for Parenthood again. It was over.
Oh, I'm so sad.
It's the circle of life.
It seems like a downer, but it's a
very
really
sweet, of course.
It's a really touching episode
Yeah.
because it's not just the audience and the cast members that affected. It's the writers, the producers who have literally
Everyone that's involved.
literally have all become a family over
Yeah.
just these past 6 seasons. And you know, it really takes an emotional
Yeah.
toll.
We don't even work on the show. We're all like choking back tears right now.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And so she sent the script to Jason Katims, and she was hoping that Jason wouldn't have any notes, because if he did have notes, then she'd go back and still be able to work on it. And Jason Katims said, "Another beautiful script. Sadly, I have no notes."
Oh my
So
god.
she was officially done writing.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
You should definitely
my
read the article available on BuzzFeed, and you know, it's saying goodbye to parenthood.
I know. She said one of her favorite parts about writing tonight was whenever she thought of the idea of doing the film and everything, was that she's like, oh yes, because we can use the pictures from the beginning and everything. That was something she tweeted earlier that I saw. So I loved that part of the episode.
I
It was so
did
good.
too.
That was great, and especially like all those pictures were like real pictures from the cast members.
It's just a
They
sweet
are
moment.
family.
Exactly.
They are family. Okay, prediction time.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
We were all worked up after that, after those previews.
Yeah.
I know.
As we always are.
Exactly.
The previews really hit us. But everyone's crying. What's happening? What's happening? What do you think is happening? Do you think, because we do see a quick shot of Zeke, he does not look good.
No.
He
Oh,
looks
he looks-
pretty pale, like his
Yeah.
health is deteriorating. He's taking a turn.
I honestly, for a second tonight, y'all, kind of was like, maybe they're not gonna do this. Maybe they're not going to kill him. Only because I was like, let me preface this with, I still think it's gonna happen. But for like a second, I was like, maybe not. Thinking about everything that was happening tonight, we only have 2 episodes left. I think about, like, I feel like they would make his death like a longer thing, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like he can't, because, you know, I think next episode is going to be focused mainly on Amber having the baby, and obviously other stuff will happen, but then in one episode you're gonna like, there's not enough time. But I then immediately was like, you're an idiot. So.
I think next episode, I think we're going to see Amber have her baby, and I think that's going to be the first part of the show. And then the second part, I think we're going to see Zeke, for some reason, go to the hospital. Maybe he has another heart attack or
I'm
stroke
having
or something.
palpitations.
I don't know. But somehow he ends up in the hospital, and I think possibly they're going to leave us hanging. And then we're going to start the final episode with, I think, maybe his death right there in the beginning, and then we're gonna see how everyone's coping and dealing with it after, to wind up the episode and wind up the season and wind up the series, and then we're gonna go back to the baseball diamond
And play baseball.
Yep.
I just can't accept it. Honestly, like, you're saying that.
You're
and
gonna
I'm like,
have to.
I don't know.
I cannot repeat myself enough. He is going to pass away.
Yeah.
He has to.
You have 2 weeks to mentally prepare yourself.
I've been
We've
trying
had-
to do that all
we've had
season.
all
You only have 2 weeks
season.
left.
Exactly.
We've had all season, 13 long, plus the 6 weeks.
Yeah,
on
that
top
was
of that. It was
terrible.
like 19 weeks.
Yeah.
But yes, everything you said, Amber's going to have the baby, but
Julia's gonna have a baby.
Julia's going to have the baby.
Like
That's what I
adopt
think.
or like be
No,
pregnant?
I think Julia's gonna be pregnant.
We're going to see the
Okay.
we're going to see the time jump and see how everyone is moving forward with their lives.
I think
New
we will see
families.
flash forwards into
Yeah.
the future.
Yep.
Flashes in the future. But yeah, I think we're gonna see a little snippet of like, no, a couple years down the road or something. But
That could
but
be
it's not
what,
gonna be
like-
something crazy big.
That could be what saves her ultimately, I think, from Zeke passing away, finding out that she's pregnant. Does that make sense?
Right,
No.
Julia
Yes.
saving Zeke.
No,
that's-
that, like saving herself, kind of from a depression.
That's gonna be a happy
Yeah.
thing. And then the luncheonette is gonna
Really
take
solidify
off.
the rest.
Yeah.
Again, Adam Levine's gonna come in.
Of course.
Save the luncheonette. And then Julian Jewel, our baby.
That's
Sarah and
that's
Hank.
what I was talking about whenever
Sarah-
I was like,
Yeah, something good.
Yeah.
I said
Sarah and
all
Hank wedding And then who's the other one? Adam and Christine. I guess Luncheonette.
Yeah.
Gonna do well.
Zeke's
Everything's
not
gonna
going to go through the operation. He's going to pass away. Okay. So much to look forward to. So much still has to be wrapped up.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Where can everyone keep following you and keep talking to you about this amazing show?
You first, April.
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at April Whisenhant.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Kellie Knez.
And you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV. Thank you all for listening. We will see you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.